end the interview with. But
Mm-hmm.
Let's say people tell me the world is an illusion, and someone comes to you and says, "Well, the world is an illusion. The only thing that's real is my presence here." You know, we both followed Eckhart Tolle a lot. We can talk about that maybe later on. But this world being an illusion, what does that say to me, and can it help me?
It can help you. It's part of other teachings too, though. You know, that has to be unpacked. That's a big statement. What is the illusion? The illusion is that the world exists separately from me, and that reality is matter or solid stuff.
Yeah.
That's the illusion. That's the sense in which the world is an illusion. So that has to be understood. In what way is that an illusion? But sometimes people think that, and they think that means also that I am entirely an illusion myself. But no, you are real. You are consciousness or spirit.
You do not mean the body. You mean
the body. I mean the formless. Formless. But the body's just it's just an expression of that. It's just an appearance within that, and it's a vehicle of that. So it's not separate. It's not like it exists separately from spirit. But in and of itself, a body is not, existing. It exists. It depends upon consciousness, whereas consciousness does not depend upon the body or the world. So in that sense, the world is an illusion.
That's a great insight you tell me, because when someone faints or someone dies, you know you just see what this body is. It doesn't, it decays. It just vanishes. So there must be something that makes this body come alive.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's a divine intelligence, and you're experiencing it for a reason.
And that reason is different for all and everybody, or is it just the one reason?
Pretty much the one reason, but everyone's having a little different twist on that. Yeah, depending their obstacles. So the one reason is because you need to realize your real nature. You need to realize that more fully, completely, clearly. And then everyone has a little different blockage to that, a little different road to that. Yeah. But all roads lead to Rome.
Yeah. And it really sounds also very, how do you call it, equal. That it doesn't matter if you're from the slums of India or from the upper class of Amsterdam.
Yeah.
We all have this path.
Yeah, it's really the same. We're all going to the same place.
Yeah. Other thing which is mentioned a lot, of course, I can imagine you get a lot of questions from it, is the ego. Is the ego some people tell me the ego is the big bad wolf. Some people tell me the ego doesn't exist. Some people tell me the ego is only exists because you believe in it. You're a psychologist, so I must know you know a lot about the ego.
Well, psychologists have 100 different definitions of ego too. But the way I would put it is, ego, generally people mean that's your false self, that's your false identity.
The image.
Yeah, the image. But when you use, the way we use the word ego can be confusing. So the way I put it is that you are consciousness, you have a mind or an intellect that thinks. Mm-hmm. You can think by using that intellect. You can believe in false thoughts and create a false identity. I don't refer to that as ego. I just call it ignorance. It's just a false idea. So, but when people personalize the ego, they start saying, well, my ego wants this, my ego wants that, my ego is doing that. Well, then you're making it as if it's a separate thing, like a demon inside of you.
An entity.
An entity. And that does not exist. But if someone, for example, Eckhart Tolle says the ego is your false identity, that's very simple. But usually people start then thinking, I'm split into my real self and my ego.
Yeah.
And that's just confusing the issue more. I think of it more in terms of reality and illusion. Your real nature and ignorance.
Yeah, funny you mention Eckhart, because that's what I picked up from him. He talks about the ego, and he puts on a little face like this. He goes like this little gremlin inside of me. And he also talks about the pain body, and it says the pain body and the ego work together to... It's almost like you have an alien inside of you.
But it's all the same thing, and it's not a person or a force. It's just something that operates in a seemingly autonomous way when it's there.
Yeah.
But it's thoughts. It's just based in beliefs. So seekers need to come to grip. First, they maybe acknowledge that they have this gremlin or ego. Mm-hmm. Then they start to understand the real inner dynamics of it's false beliefs that then I act on those, and there's then these create these urges and mistaken desires and bad decisions and negativities and terrible moods. But you have to realize it's not something else called an ego that's doing that. It's simply your ignorance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adida once said, "Ego, it's not an entity; it's an activity."
It's a process.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah.
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 Anything else you picked up from Eckhart, which you say, well, that was for me very clear? And
Eckhart, what I like about his teaching, and his teaching was one of the first for me as well, that made a big impact. He says that you are conscious presence, you are the observer. And that's, I like the simplicity and clarity of that, because you are that presence. And that intelligence is here. It is you. Whereas some people, when they learn about observing, then they're saying, but now I have to go beyond the observer. Now I have to go beyond consciousness and become nothing or the absolute or something. And that's just really adding, to me, too much complexity and confusion to it. Because the fact is, you can't go beyond consciousness. It is the absolute, as I use it.
Yeah.
Consciousness is not your ego. It's the intelligence by which you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Eckhart kept that very simple as well.
You ever met him or been to one of his talks?
I've been to one of his weekend seminars. Yeah.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to interview him. When I met him already in the hallway of the hotel, this one big light came into the room. You know, it's so very, like a walking sun. Yeah. You almost have to put on sunglasses when you see him.
Yeah.
You had that same experience when you saw him live?
He was up on a stage. No, I didn't have exactly that experience, but my life was illuminated by hearing his book as I was driving in a car, and I was changing. My understanding at the deepest level was changing as I drove, and that was opening the energy already. So
great.
That was really like a darshan there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the audiobook of The Power of Now.
The Power of Now.
Yeah. He also did some talks with Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's nice to see that he reaches a big audience.
Yeah.
Yeah. So ever planning on doing stuff like that? Maybe something on TV or radio or...
Who knows?
Yeah.
I go where I'm asked to go if it seems reasonable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And is this something you think you're going to do for the rest of your life? Is this something you get like almost contaminated with, like after nuclear war? There's all atomic stuff in the air. Can you get rid of this knowing? Or
no.
Is it, no.
No.
You don't want to
get rid of it.
No.
No. It's forever. It's totally there. I mean, you can be born with it.
Born
with it.
Not bored. Born
with it.
Yeah.
You can be. I was born with it as well to a certain extent. So you can never change this knowing that awakens in you. It's there. But for me, there's no missionary zeal about it. It's really, that is totally gone. That's more a symptom of the initial awakening.
Yeah.
There's a kind of extreme excitement and bliss.
You're in love.
You understand it was, it's so powerful. It's a great discovery. So, but the missionary, zeal to bring it to people and deliver it on their doorstep is no longer there. I mean, it's really letting people come to you, and I don't worry about the world or anything like that.
No.
Yeah. So
How does it influence your work as a psychologist? I once heard of someone who says, well, psychology, it's just taking like taking aspirin when you're standing on your own foot.
no, that's too simplistic. It depends on the level of wisdom in the therapist. If the therapist has a lot of wisdom of awakening, then there are many tools then that function within the intelligence of consciousness that become even more powerful, more skillful, more effective. You can really share and open the beauty and love in someone. So it totally depends on the person. The assumption in the non-dual world seems to be that every therapist is not enlightened. Well, why assume that? That's not reasonable.
Yeah.
If the therapist is realizing, knowing that truth, then it becomes more powerful. And there are also many practical relationship and world issues that there are ways of working with that are very helpful, even if you aren't awakened. So it is helpful on its own level. Yeah.
I don't think we have used the word love already. Maybe in a sentence, but how is a love relationship to you? Are you in love with all and everything, or is there that special someone which you say, well, that's love, that is love which became flesh?
Yeah. The love is really of the self for the self, or the soul for the soul, for that which is one in all of us. So you love that. That is love. It's not, you can't love every personality, because personalities are driven by, hate and wants and ignorance. They're not all nice or likable. So what I love is the truth and the light in that everyone is, that I am. And that is love. So, and then you can have specific relationships and friends, within that. But it's the same love. It's just a different form.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like Jesus said, that bum who is knocking on the door, that's me too.
Yeah.
That's also love. Maybe you have to look twice. But then people always come to me and tell me about those bombers in how do you call it? Those terrorists in Paris and all over the world, Manchester.
Yeah.
That's also love?
No, what they're doing is not love. Not at all. It's ignorant and it's ugly hatred. That you cannot pretend that is beautiful. Oh. But what they are in their essence is love, but they don't know it.
Yeah.
So you have to see the difference there. We shouldn't pretend that anything anyone does is wonderful. I mean, that's childish.
Yeah.
Ignorance is not fun. It's really terrible.
But I still cannot, when I tell people, I say I feel empathy also for, not only for the victims of something like that, but also the one who did it. And their families and their brothers and sisters.
They are in terrible suffering. They are living in hell. Absolutely.
Why would you otherwise come to that action? Yeah, that's total confusion.
So you also feel compassion for Trump?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
You see him suffering all day on television.
Yeah. Politicians suffer. Not just him, but everyone who believes in their big self-image and is trying so hard to be something.
But what's the right way then to, let's say it's my father, who also believes that his story with a lot of things that went wrong in his life. What I asked you before the camera started, what's the right way to act with someone who believes his story very much, or her story?
What can you say? You love them. You maybe learn to say less. You learn that you cannot change them, so you treat them with kindness and respect and care, but you have to let them have their own process of suffering and discovery. And if if it's maybe toxic for you to be around them, it's not feeling so great, maybe because they always complain or they always criticize you or something, yeah, then maybe you would spend less time with them as well. So that is also love too. That can help them, in fact, to face themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to be sometimes very patient.
Very patient, yeah. Well, wisdom brings patience. Wisdom brings patience, so, yeah. It takes a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
In this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you want to say, oh, come on, stop the drama. You're being such a drama queen. Get over it. Look at what is going right in your life.
Well, at some point, maybe you say that and it works, or it sinks in to some extent, but maybe not. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes you can be fierce and strong in saying something if you've really had enough. But who knows? Maybe you know that it's not worth it. I don't know.
Well, I stopped feeding the story of someone a long time ago, I guess. Because I know, I can go with you and say, oh, that's very bad for you. But I cannot do it anymore. It's because I used to be the way around, that people fed my story. When someone broke up with me, I started phoning everybody and talking about it.
Yeah.
Instead of feeling what it did to me.
Yes. It's impersonal. The suffering that we go through is impersonal. It's something we're doing to ourselves, though not consciously. So it's kind of an impersonal energy or state that just has to have its way until something, the light starts to awaken.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be by reading a Michael Damian book or watching Eckhart Tolle on DVD.
No, it can be anything. But if you have the book, why not read it?
Yeah, of course, yeah. Why is it called The Art of Freedom? Is freedom an art?
It's the art of discovering freedom. I like to call it an art because it's something subtle. It's something that has to do with beauty.
Mm-hmm.
For me, freedom is a major word because usually when you ask someone what they want, they don't say, I want freedom. They say, I want happiness, I want love, I want fun. But what we learn is that, it's my suffering that blocks me from that. Totally. So what I need first for the happiness is to get freedom from the suffering and to discover that I am free in my essence. And then all the happiness and love that you are and vitality comes in, blossoms.
Yeah.
And that's the art of it, and that's the beauty of it. So that title came to me. Yeah.
And did that change Michael Damian, the person? Did this body mechanism, whatever they call it, become a more lovable guy or a more loving guy? Or
yes, he did. Well, that first, it's not a he. It's not like the ego became more lovable.
Mm-hmm.
This is what the personality is, like a window through which the light comes.
Yeah.
So it's a window.
Gives it a taste.
Yes.
Or,
a shade, a color. Yeah. So what happened was the personality that used to reflect more heaviness, more moods, more ignorance, distractions, confusion, that got cleaned. It got cleaned and cleared away to a great extent.
Yeah.
I mean, the shift was massive. So, yes, the expressed personality is totally different. Things remain that are part of the personality that are they're just neutral. Whether I like coffee or tea or whatever, those things stay.
But could you still rob a bank?
If I absolutely had to, I would.
Yeah.
No, why would I rob a bank,
well,
by the way?
I just asked that because some people think there's such thing as enlightened behavior, that from now on you will never drive through a red light or whatever. Nothing bad is being done anymore.
Well, there is enlightened behavior. So the answer to that is no, I wouldn't rob a bank, or I would be much less likely to hurt someone or to lie or steal or cheat or Yeah, that is because the morality it's a natural morality, because you realize that everything you would do to hurt another or cheat or steal would be because you're trying to get happiness from an object outside of you.
Yeah.
And once you realize that there's nothing out there that is going to complete me, and I'm fine as I am, and I have my balance of pleasure and pain, and that's fine, then why would I do that? Especially when I realize that everyone around me who I would do that to is my own essence, is not separate from me,
Yeah.
is also a feeling, sensitive being. You do become, your behavior does become more enlightened. That doesn't mean I couldn't be, rude at some point, or grumpy. Well, I'm not that grumpy. I mean, no, that really changes.
Yes, even when you have 3 nights of bad sleep.
You get a little more grumpy or less cheerful. I mean, I do when I'm tired.
Mm-hmm.
But the bad moods, gone. The real, the up and down.
Yeah.
Certainly there are, there can be wrong decisions at times, or mistakes made, misunderstandings that happen between people. But, really you do become more kind and tolerant, and then the little foibles that happen in human life, you become more forgiving of them in yourself and in others. It's not perfect. Yeah, it's not absolute perfection. You could never do something wrong. Yeah, but there is much more of a tendency toward the good. Yeah.
But you didn't become a saint. No.
I still don't know what a saint is, but we'll see.
Yeah, but you could say the guy who is trying to rob a bank is also looking for this, just in the wrong place.
He's looking for security, happiness, peace,
fulfillment.
When he gets that money, he feels he'll be at peace.
He'd be at home.
Yeah, right.
So we all have this urge to come home, but start looking in the world for it.
Yeah, and fixating on the body and my body's survival and my body's desire for pleasure, which can never stay.
Yeah.
However many pleasures you've gotten, have they stayed?
No.
Or are they gone right now? No.
And that's the frustrating thing. And then Eckhart tells me in the interview, well, maybe that world is designed to frustrate you so much that you start looking inside.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's perfect. It's a perfect matrix that we're in to discover the truth. Yeah.
A final question. You just said the word choice. And that's something from the non-duality world which struck a lightning with me, and also gave me a lot of that people tell me, teachers tell me, that I never made a choice in my life. That it all just simply happened, and then my brain started saying afterwards, well, you did that good or you did that bad.
Your choices are an expression of your operating knowledge at the time, and the knowledge and conditioning that is in effect is dictating that. But the thing is, this is the key point here. So from that perspective, you didn't exactly have choices. Your knowledge, whatever was your conditioning and input, the knowledge was expressing itself as it must. But here's the key point where the question of choice is neither this nor that. You are behind all that knowledge and conditioning. You are beyond that. Therefore, there is your free will, there is your freedom. That exerts that's where the absolute and the relative meet, and it exerts a hidden, it's like a black hole in the middle of the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
That's where there is freedom. And from there, you choose. Because there is the divine will, which is your will, choosing, but without necessarily you thinking about it. Do you see that? It's absolute responsibility.
But yet this is used as an instrument of choice, or it's again colored by this programming or whatever you want to call it.
Yes.
And that influences the choice. Because if I've been hurt by people who wear a yellow cap on their head for 5 times, and people want me to choose between the guy with the black hat and the yellow, I will choose the other guy because I have bad experience with him.
This is how I would put it. You don't have the choice to change the nature of the karma that is already in effect, that is already there in your conditioning, that you are identified with, that you are acting out. You cannot change from within that. When you're stuck within that identity, the limited mind, then you have no real choice. You're just operating that out. And the karma, once it's out there and once it's coming back to you, you can't do anything about that. But where your freedom is there's a movement within you to realize your own nature. It feels like, oh, that might be my choice. It's actually the divine will that you are choosing for itself, which is its nature to do. So it's almost something beyond choice. It's in the nature of your being to awaken and express your freedom. Is that your, Patrick's, choice to awaken? Yes and no. It's simply your nature to awaken and to choose differently, as the Course in Miracles offers you to do. Choose differently once you realize there is something different to choose for, which is the truth. So, practically speaking, we say there is a higher level of choice for you, and on the lower level, there's no choice. You're living as a robot. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. And the Course tells me I have only one choice as to between love and fear.
Yes. Just one choice. Yeah, it's making a fundamental higher choice between true and false, love and fear. Yeah.
Well, it was great talking to you. When people want to hear more of you, there's a great interview with you from a couple of years ago on YouTube with Buddha at the gas pump.
Yes.
And the website is michaeldamian.org.
Yes.
O-R-G. Michael, thank you.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Sitting here for the second time with my friend Rob Eck. Actually, it's the third time we meet.
Yes.
The first time we had a talk in Dutch.
Yes.
The second time you gave me a treatment on the table.
Yes.
And now for the third time a talk in English for our English projects Advaita TV and Advaita.me.
.me.
Yeah.
Who is me?
Yes. Let's start with that question.
Who is me?
What is that me, Rob? Is that something that exists?
Well, who knows that there is a me, or that there must be a me?
That's the question.
That's the question. For how do you know that you live? That you are here? For me, that is the first question.
Yeah.
For we talk about Advaita, but that is the end of your journey, in my opinion. The journey as a human being in a complicated society and with a lot of stress and problems, sickness, partners, children, Chinese, Americans, Russians, Belgians.
A lot of difference.
Lot of differences. And you have to find your way in that turmoil. And on a certain moment, you get a kind of epiphany. You think, what in hell am I doing here?
Yeah.
Is this it? Is this my life? And if I do all these difficult things and a lot of schooling and university and jobs and in the end I die.
Yeah.
I do this all for the end.
Yeah.
Yeah. What would you think?
Well, it gives me a sense of that it's pointless, it's useless.
Yes. And it's for many seekers the starting point. What is this? Is this normal? Is there an escape? And is there something better?
Yeah.
What it gives a sense to my life?
Yeah.
And some people have that when they are very young, and there are people, especially in this building,
where you live,
who haven't got a clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And are afraid of it.
Afraid of what?
Afraid of searching for the truth. Some people know that I'm busy with Advaita and that I have had some clients in chakra therapy. But when you want to talk about it with them,
no.
No, that is eerie. No, I do not believe.
Yeah. Do they think it has something to do with kind of church or a kind of religion? What's the comments you get?
Oh, it's just different.
Yeah.
A lot of people have tried to cope with their life, and they say, okay, this is it.
Yeah.
Well, let's go on, and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
And people who are really interested in Zen or Advaita, and in the real core of that movement, well, they cannot do anything other than that.
Yeah.
They must know.
Yeah.
Whatever it will cost. They want to know who they are and what this life means.
Yeah. Is that the right way?
You can say that.
You can't say that.
No, it's different for anybody.
Yeah. Well, I just spoke to Eli Jackson Bear, the husband of Gangaji.
Yes.
And when I met him for the second time, I went inside, talked to him and said, well, it seems like a kind of virus that takes over you and you cannot stop it. And he says,
no.
If you're lucky,
if
you're lucky, it's like that.
Yes. If you feel two hands under you and you get help, then you know you're on the right path. But if you miss that, then it's very difficult. And then you sometimes have to wait 20 years for you really understand what it means.
And how does that help look like? Does it have certain kind of form, or can it be in any shape that help you get in this path?
Well, that you say things on the right time, that you hear sentences, that you think, oh my God, I have this to write now.
Yeah.
This is so beautiful.
Yeah.
Or when you work with people, that there is an instant recognition that you are working in the same field of consciousness. And perhaps you have felt it in our session.
Mm-hmm.
That I know where you are, and you know what I ask you to do or not to do.
Mm-hmm.
There are not really words necessary to feel what is happening.
Yeah.
And if that is trustful, that you can surrender yourself to what you feel. As long as there are thoughts who want to explain what is happening or who want to deny what is happening, then you are in trouble.
Yeah.
And then you have to wait, can I trust my own thinking or not? That can be a struggle for years.
Yeah.
You don't believe it, or your partner says,
rubbish.
I lost a lot of friends.
I can imagine.
For doing this. Rob, stop it.
Yeah,
we know it.
We don't want to hear anything more. Yeah. Stop about talking about this rubbish.
Yes.
Yeah. You take a sip of your water. I
Yeah.
have to stop the camera for one moment
Okay.
because there's the sound of the refrigerator irritating me. And maybe we can do something about it and pick up the talk.
Yes. Without the refrigerator. Okay, that was the freezer.
Yeah, the freezer.
Peeping freezer.
Peeping Tom, peeping freezer is gone.
Yes.
Rob, something simple like irritation.
Yeah.
Some spiritual people would say, well, just be with the noise. Don't irritate yourself. Don't think the noise has not to be here. There's only one problem, that's you thinking that the noise should go. But I'm thinking now, well, I'm glad we did something about it.
Yes.
Because it's now...
It's annoying, the noise.
Yes.
Yes.
So Advaita is not about being with everything in peace and not rejecting anything, not
No.
fixing anything.
Advaita is knowing who you are. And, well, that can mean, or you know it already, that what you are has nothing to do with this world and with this person. We are the seeing of the person in this world.
Yeah.
And so it is not a form of a therapy
To fix the person.
to fix the person so that he can cope with the world as it is,
Yeah.
or his personality, or it was by that it was so. Well, when I'm enlightened, then everything is smooth,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's not the case.
That's not the case. And Nisargadatta has said that frequently. When you know. But yeah, what can you do with it? Nothing. It's not a product. It is not something you can
Market.
yeah. or to sell,
Yeah.
or what many people who think they are enlightened do is trying to be popular and to get devotees and
Sell books about it, talk about it.
yes. And yes, there are various ways to do that. But if you distinguish them as good, those are good, those are bad, those are traitors,
Mm-hmm.
that is not interesting. The core of Advaita is understanding what Advaita means. The not to. That there is not a subject that is connected with all kinds of objects. For the subject is an idea. You can never find a subject.
No.
And in the English language, the word subject has many explanations, betekenis, meanings.
Yeah.
Subject is the person who acts. Well, in this case, in Advaita, the subject is that what sees.
That what sees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That what hears. The knowing,
Yeah.
or the awareness, or the consciousness.
But last time we talked about it, that sounds so logical. There must be something that perceives the world.
Yes.
That
There must be perceiving, otherwise there isn't a world.
yeah.
You don't know. You cannot know yourself and there is no seeing. And there is no consciousness.
Yeah.
And so simple is it. Then your life starts. When you started your life, when you became consciousness of your being here.
Mm-hmm.
Yes? Do you remember a day when you were born, or when you were in the womb of your mother,
No.
I won't go any further.
You were conceived, yeah.
No, you know nothing.
No.
And why not? There must have been consciousness. For you were hungry and you were,
Yeah.
Mommy.
Yeah.
But there was no language, so there was no memory. For memory, you have to have thinking, thoughts, labels for the things you see, feel, and then you can put it in your memory.
Yeah.
So, and that is one of the great mysteries in Zen in Advaita. What happens when you, as eternal consciousness, has no experience of whatever? Are you dead, or is it simply a matter of not knowing? For there is no a recollection,
Yeah.
no memory.
It's like the Dutch Advaita teacher Johannika Ring says, when we're now in this state, we're dreaming.
Yes.
Then we're dreaming in sleep, and then in deep sleep we are awake. She says, because
And who knows that?
there's still something that knows that
Yeah, but you can only tell that story
afterwards.
afterwards.
Yeah. During deep sleep, there's no one that knows that he or she is awake in deep sleep.
Yes. Well, I have the solution of it.
Okay. Please give it to us, Rob.
In the end, and perhaps we talk about it later, was our session.
Mm-hmm.
And you can bring a person on the brink of knowing that you are,
Yeah.
and what it is, the I am, knowing from I am,
Yeah.
and its consciousness is undeniable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here. And then is there the realization, also this is known. And the process of losing your language, for that is it. When there are no words, are you dead?
No.
No. And is that eerie? Are you afraid when there are no words?
No.
No. It's quiet. It's good. We can do an oefening.
Practice.
Practice. That in 5 or 10 minutes you are in that state of nothingness, and still you are. And that state is also seen. It is in a space of knowing,
Mm-hmm.
and that knowing you can never know.
Because it's knowing itself.
It's knowing itself.
Yeah.
You seek with the eye. It's
Yeah.
impossible.
Yeah.
Of what Zen Meester Linshi said. You fools, you put a second head on